As we all know, the 2020 women's basketball tournament was unfortunately canceled. This was very disappointing, as it was an exciting season. Everyone thinks it was their year and that they would have won. But who actually had a chance of winning the tournament? Let's take a look. This is the last top 25 poll we got for the 2020 season. It's interesting to see how some teams are still dominant while others completely fell off. UConn and South Carolina are consistently at the top. LSU basically replaced Baylor. I laugh when some people say Louisville will fall off because Haley Van Lith transferred. Louisville has been consistently great for almost a decade. I have no idea why Oregon and NC State completely fell off a cliff. The biggest surprise to me is DePaul. If you would have told me they were a much better team before Anissa got there, there's zero chance I would have believed you. I'm going to break this video down into 3 sections based off of probability. Teams that were good, but not good enough to win the title in 2020 without massive luck. Teams I think have a very good chance of winning, and the team I think most likely would have won. I'll start with teams that are good, but not good enough. This will come to a surprise to some people, but I think UConn fits into this category. Someone is going to have a hard time convincing me that UConn would have won this tournament when they haven't won a national title in the Page era. Not only is Page one of the best players in the country, that recruiting class was stacked. Even if you ignore that fact, I have no idea why the AP poll ranked this team 6th in the country. Oregon, South Carolina, and Baylor completely embarrassed them. The 29-3 record looks crazy on paper, but 16 of these wins were in the AAC, which is very weak. Out of those 29 wins, only 3 of them were against top 25 teams. The ranking the AP poll gave them seems based on reputation rather than merit. Stanford won the title in 2021, but I don't think they would have got it the year before. Cameron Brink was a huge part of that run, but she wasn't with the team at the time. Haley Jones was the MVP of that tournament because of the massive leap she made her sophomore year. She was good her freshman year, but her sophomore year is when she went crazy. I have a hard time believing Maryland would have won. I've seen Brenda Frese waste too many talented rosters. And while we're on that subject, why does she keep losing so many elite players in the portal? Makes you wonder what goes on behind the scenes. I had a controversial video about Ari McDonald being the National Player of the Year over Paige Beckers. Well, she was hooping like crazy the year before too. I don't think it's out of the question for her to have a heroic tournament run like she did in 2021. But winning the entire thing, that's asking a lot, especially considering Arizona is already short-staffed, and they didn't even have Trinity Baptiste at the time, who was a great defender. What about teams that would have had a very high chance of winning? My heart breaks for Louisville. Coaches like Kim Mulkey, Gino, and Dawn will always have another shot at winning a championship. But this was Jeff Walt's best shot at winning one, so it's unfortunate it was taken away. This was probably the best version of Louisville we have seen, even to this day. Only 3 teams beat them that year, one of them being Team USA. Louisville was a masterclass of team basketball. It wouldn't have been easy, but I think it's possible they could have won. Baylor won the tournament in 2019, and they only had 2 players that were seniors. That means almost their entire team was returning. It seemed like they were picking up right where they left off. If someone said they believe Baylor would have won, I definitely wouldn't have a problem with it. But personally, I believe there were 2 teams ahead of them. Here's what Dawn Staley had to say about her team during the 2019-2020 season.
But no, you would not know that we were the #1 team because they kept with the narrative with Sabrina Ionescu. You'll never know about it unless we're bringing it up. And that's a shame because there was room for Sabrina. There was room for Ty Harris and Kiki Herbert-Harrigan, the leaders of our team that got a 2019 #1 recruiting class in a position of, I think we would have won a national championship. We were playing so.
I played this clip because she explained it perfectly. The dominance South Carolina had that year was ridiculous. South Carolina definitely would have been a problem. I mentioned a lot of teams that would have a good shot for winning the tournament, but if you ask me, which team do I think truly would have taken it home? It's Oregon. This team beat the Olympics team, which was full of WNBA players. Do you know how crazy this is? This is probably the greatest feat of a college team ever. Oregon's big three is just ridiculous. You got Ruthie Hebard, one of the top post players in the country and a first-team All-American. You got Sabrina, who is arguably a top 10 women college basketball player ever and is currently a top 10 WNBA player. Then you got Satu Sabali. I mean, there is nothing. Nothing she can't do. If Skylar Diggins and Dirk Nowitzki had a baby, it would be Sabali. She's 6'4" and has the skills of a guard, and she still has strong post skills. Sabrina gets all the credit, but they don't beat Team USA without Sabali. She dropped 25 points on efficient shooting against the best players in the world. Oregon cooked Stanford in the Pac-12 championship, the 7th ranked team in the country. Maybe a Stanford fan can help me out here. Has Stanford ever been destroyed like this? Because I can't remember. Oregon only lost twice this year, to Louisville, which is a testament to how good they are, and Arizona State. I have no idea what happened there. Outside of that, they look completely untouchable. They blew out Stanford and UConn. Those aren't teams that get blown out every day. They were the only team to beat the Olympic USA team. Oregon was a WNBA team in disguise. A legitimate argument can be made 2020. Oregon is one of the greatest teams of all time. I know some teams had better records in the past, but the competition is so much deeper in this era. And how often do 3 people from the same team get drafted in the top 8? They are all having good careers too. This is how I think the tournament would have went. Oregon winning it all, and South Carolina being the runner-up. Louisville and Baylor would have been in the Final Four. I feel pretty confident about this. I think the Elite 8 is up in the air. I think the teams I discussed earlier in the video would have made the Elite 8, but you could make a case for a lot of teams such as Mississippi State. Who do you believe would have won the tournament in 2020? I wanted to give a shout out to the person who suggested this video. I had a lot of fun making it. Thanks for watching.